Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Welcome. Happy Friday, first of all. Thank you for attending our webinar on submitting a successful original Lilly conference proposal. I'm Gregg Wentzell, conference director, and it's really gratifying to see so many people interested in sharing your teaching scholarship with the Lilly community. I see a lot of familiar faces, folks who have been to Lilly before, uh, and it's noteworthy that every year we normally have about 60% new folks and 40% or so who have been here before. Some who have been here quite a lot. And of course, we're right here on the campus of Miami University, so we enjoy the participation of our own faculty as well as students who work at the conference, Miami students. So it's a great way for them to see what professors do in their spare time, to improve their practice. And also we're reminded as to why we're here by seeing students working and doing study groups and all kinds of cool things at the conference center. So would everyone open your chat and say hello? All right. Greetings, greetings. Okay. I'm going to put the link to the home page in the chat, and we're going to go there now. So I'll switch over to sharing the site. Can everybody see the home page now? All right.
Yes.
So um, the conference is November 19th to 21st, 2026. This is our 45th year since Milt Cox started it right here at Miami back in 1981.
Do I have a Gmail address?
Someone needs to mute.
You have. Do you remember what it is? You remember the last?
Someone needs to mute their mic.
Thought it's on top of your paper. It's like Dave and Jenny.
We'll just carry on. As we scroll down, you can see our plenary speakers for this year. Christine Harrington from Morgan State, Heidi McKee and Dennis Cheatham from right here at Miami, and Lynn Mead at the University of Arkansas. And then going down just a little bit further, you can see the skeleton schedule for the conference. This just gives you a sense of how the weekend unfolds. We start on Thursday with conference half-day pre-conference workshops, and I'll say more about those later. So we've got a refreshment break in there, welcome and orientation, and then on Thursday afternoon we go into concurrent sessions, and we normally have blocks of 5 or 6 sessions. So if you're proposing a 45-minute session, you'd be in a concurrent block on one of these 3 days. Then on Thursday afternoon, we have an open all-conference reception, followed by dinner for those who choose to partake of the conference meals. We also have other food venues here in the conference center. And then the opening plenary session, which is going to be Christine Harrington on Thursday evening. Then on Friday, we go all day with concurrent sessions, 6 blocks of those. Also a refreshment break in there. The provost will have some remarks to welcome everyone. And then on Friday afternoon, we have the poster session, the all-conference poster session, which is held in the conference atrium. So if you're proposing a poster, that's when you'll be, 4:40 to 5:55. And then on Friday night, we have some social and activities, ways to continue the learning, but also get to know each other in a more informal way. For the second year in a row, we're going to be doing a game night. We have a gaming expert here at Miami who's going to be sharing some games with folks who want to participate in that in teams or individually. We also have our musical group, the Lilly Hammers, if you want to just unwind casually. Then on Saturday, so Friday's a very full day, as you can see. And then on Saturday, we continue with concurrent sessions. And this year we're debuting a reflection and application luncheon. This is something we decided might be of interest to folks as a way to kind of collect their thoughts and reflect on the weekend's learning with other people. And that's included in the conference registration fee. So lunch and the working lunch, and then think about things you might want to take back to your campus and your classrooms. And then we have the closing plenary. So that is the schedule at a glance, and we'll be posting the full schedule with all the sessions, the wonderful sessions you're going to propose, and it'll be being added to the conference program in August. All right, so let's move along here. Here's our roadmap for this hour. This get you familiarized with the submission categories, the presentation formats, and the review process for your proposals. Take you on a tour of the proposal submission form itself. Some of you have seen it before, but get you familiar with what's being asked of you, and then discuss some strategies to help ensure your proposal is successful, and then finally answer any questions hopefully you may have about submitting a Lilly proposal. And of course, you're also welcome to continue to ask questions. You can just send me an email if you have questions as you're preparing your proposal between now and June 15th. So there is the deadline, June 15th. So just a little over a month away. So we're hoping now that you're wrapping up your classes. Good luck with grading finals and all those fun things. And you'll have some time to reflect on the year and think about what exciting learning you want to share with your colleagues at Lilly. So here's the Lilly Conference mission. I'll just let you read that. And as you do, I just tell you a little bit about the conference culture. Our attendees, like you, are primarily faculty developers, and administrators, especially folks who are focusing on the teaching aspects of the academy. All departments and disciplines are welcome, of course. Lilly attendees have one thing in common, though. They are passionate about teaching and student learning, learning more about and presenting teaching scholarship, and just learning from each other in a very kind of sharing collegial environment. If this sounds like you're going to find a very welcoming group of people who want to support each other to do our very best work as teachers and gain satisfaction from that work, as well as help our students learn best. Some of the things that Lilly presenters have said they value most about the conference are the opportunity to interact with, as I said, a very enthusiastic and supportive community, receiving helpful feedback and guidance on their work. Many Lilly presenters say crafting a proposal and presenting it inspired them to realize how significant their teaching results can be to them and to others. Learning about strategies that demonstrate your ability to reflect on and improve your practice by putting together the proposal and the work that goes into crafting a presentation. Engaging in a process that ultimately could lead to a publication worthy to take its place in the knowledge base on the scholarship of teaching and learning. Many Lilly presenters went on to write up their results, write up their session results, and submit it to a teaching and learning venue of some sort. So it's a great way to get some excellent feedback on how to take your session to the next level if you're interested. And just, ultimately renewed enthusiasm for teaching, reassurance, affirmation that what we do is important and valued and matters by interacting with faculty from Miami University here in Ohio and all across the United States, and even some international teacher scholars. I just want to say what a friendly conference Lilly is. If you haven't been here before, you'll soon learn that. If you have been here before, I believe you can speak to that. We do serious and rigorous scholarship, but it's an environment of supportive collegiality and community. We're all here because we want to be here, and we find it a really rejuvenating kind of experience. All right, so let's move along here. Here are the proposal submission categories. So when you submit a proposal, you'll be asked to declare one of these four categories of scholarship. So I'll just talk through these pretty quickly. The research category is the one that may seem most familiar to you in terms of things, comparisons to, let's say, disciplinary scholarship. It requires the collection of data, and you're making comparisons normally to a baseline of student performance to show a change in their behavior, a challenge in teaching that you're attempting to address. For example, we had a session not too long ago on the title was Campus Perspectives on Using Proctoring Software, Results of Faculty and Student Surveys and Senate Committee Discussions. That one included data from faculty and student surveys and statistical analysis. So that's a research type project. We also have the innovation category. And this is where you propose an original to you, at least, or an innovative idea based in the literature, but it doesn't require you to collect data. However, it should include a plan for next steps in order to do assessment, how you might go about doing it or how someone else would go about doing it. And I do normally a pre-conference workshop on scholarly teaching and the scholarship of teaching and learning that falls into this category. And my data collection would be involving how many workshop attendees ultimately would submit manuscripts would be one data point I might propose. The application category describes exemplary practice and includes applied research. An example of a topic there would be one we had recently called Applying the Science of Learning to Critical Thinking Instruction. So they were taking the principles of what we know about learning research and applying it to seeing whether using that in the classroom, implementing that improves students' ability to be critical thinkers. And finally, the integration category, as the name implies, it brings together existing research in some sort of meaningful way. So you're not creating new research here, but you're bringing it together in a way that maybe hasn't been done before, or that may be useful to others. And a topic we had in that category was called Critical Conversations on Managing Student Issues in the Classroom. And that included a critical assessment and discussion of the policies and practices that can support students in their academic progress. It could be a kind of state-of-the-art paper. What we know now about best practices for using Gen AI in teaching, for example, just to mention something that might be coming up in some of your proposals. A lot of folks are very interested in AI. So at any rate, as I said, when you submit, you'll be asked so that gives you a chance to think about what category your proposal best fits into, and hopefully there's something there that you can relate to and work with. All right. And then we have the conference presentation format. So you have three options you can choose from. The 45-minute concurrent sessions, as I said, are interspersed throughout the 3 days. And they'll be in individual session rooms, and you'll be in a block of a time slot. You'll be assigned a time slot for that. And that gives you a chance to introduce what you've done and share it with attendees through your own presentation, through activities you engage in, and those sorts of things. And again, the blocks begin on Thursday and go all the way through Saturday up until we get to lunch in the closing plenary. Interactive poster sessions, those take place in the Student Center atrium, which is a large space, open space. And so you'll be all together in one session, but you'll have your own individual poster board that will provide the push pins, all those sorts of things. You just bring the poster. And that's on Friday evening, November the 20th. Actually, the poster is a great way to engage in some deep one-on-one conversations or even small group discussions about your topic. It's a different kind of format, obviously, than the individual session, but in some ways you can talk to more people on an individual level through a poster. So that's been quite a popular way to go. And there are guidelines for how to craft your poster on the website. And finally, pre-conference workshops. Those are on Thursday morning. Those are 3 hours. Well, actually 3.5 hours, 9 to 12:30, although there is a 20-minute break in there. So it's really more like 3 hours, refreshment break in the middle. And in that case, workshop facilitators will be asked to choose a book that participants will receive as part of their workshop fee. There is an extra cost for the workshops, not to you, but to those who attend. Not to you as a presenter, that is. And these are obviously more in-depth types of opportunities to engage folks in activities, discussion, community building, usually with some sort of takeaway product. So it would really be something that you have a great deal of interest in, or really want to take a deep dive into, that you bring some expertise to, and it probably wouldn't be a session for a first-time Lilly presenter, but it could be something that if you've done it before, or if you have some experience, particularly with this the topic that you're proposing, it could be a useful way to go. We like to have a variety of different pre-conference workshops. We usually have 4 or 5 of them. So it's pretty selective, but that's something to think about also. All right. Now I want to turn our attention to the proposal submission template. So I want to take you through. So I'm going to stop sharing here and we'll go to the template. Maybe. Hang on, I've got to very particular here. There it is. There it is. Okay. So can everybody see the template? Some of you have seen this before. It's unchanged from
Last year, from your good conditioner.
last year.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. So, and but I should mention, we recommend use the template, but maybe craft your proposal in a Word document first to avoid possibly losing it if the connection is lost or anything, because if that happens, you could lose your proposal. So do it in a Word document and then transfer it over. Okay. So just very quickly going through this, the title should be we prefer it that not be more than 12 words long, and should capture participants' attention. Why would they want to come to your session? And we have found it to be helpful sometimes that sessions titles that do not include the course or discipline can attract broader audiences, if that makes sense. That can be an effective way to go, even though you may be focusing on obviously a particular course or discipline. Not to advertise that in the title. Keep the focus more on the teaching and learning benefits. The abstract describes both the project you engaged in, the work you did, the scholarship, and also the session that you're going to be presenting. So it's kind of a two-part thing. And the rest of the form is really in 2 parts. The first part deals with the project you engaged in. The second part deals with the session that you're going to present. So as you can see, you get to choose that category that I mentioned, the 4 research categories. You get to rank your 3 proposal or pre-submission category choices, 1, 2, and 3. We will do our best, obviously, to give you the format that you have chosen, identified as your first choice. In some cases, because of space or because of the broadness or narrowness of the topic and its interest, we may need to ask that you present in a different format if that's something that you're able to do. Okay, next we have the section on the topic, issue, or the goal needs to be addressed. You can see the prompt questions there. What teaching and learning challenge or opportunity did you investigate? So this is really, what was the reason for your project? Why was it needed? What needed to be done? And in this section, you could be including citations of scholarly literature that may be relevant using parenthetical in-text citations that are going to be keyed to a reference list at the end, which we'll see in a bit. Next, we have the instructional context, kind of the nuts and bolts of who was involved, the scope of the project, how it fits into the larger institutional picture, whether it's course level or bigger than that. So giving us some context for the work that you did. Next section is on methods. What did you do to achieve your teaching and learning goal, whatever it might have been? What's the innovation or approach that you used? And again, if you're drawing on past scholarly studies or methods, this could be a place where you would want to cite those. For example, this builds on the work by Smith 2018 or something like that. All right. Then we have the research evaluation section. This is how you assess the effectiveness or the results of what you did in terms of student learning or whatever your goal might have been. Qualitative results, quantitative results, or mixed methods are all fine with us, all welcome. If you have the results, please include them. If you're still collecting results at the time you submit your proposal, you can just simply say that. And when do you hope to have them? By the time of the conference, for example. If you're doing, say, an innovation project where you don't have results, then this is where you would propose the strategy for doing that if you were going to take that next step. All right. And then we get to the second half of the proposal, and this is where we really switch over to the session you're going to do. So the session learning outcomes, what are participants going to be able to do once they've attended the session? As you can see, the example there is to use action verbs. Participants will describe, analyze, create, etc. What skills are they going to learn in the session? Next, we have session structure. So that's really just what's the outline of the session? How's it designed? How's it going to unfold? What will happen in the session? Now, if this is a poster, people often say, well, what do I say? It's a poster session, which is a legitimate question. However, let's think of this. A poster session is still scholarship and teaching. It's simply in a different format. But you can still do things that are interactive, for example, that you would do in, let's say, a 45-minute or a concurrent workshop. So in this part, if it's a poster, you could say you'll provide a brief description of the project or a tour of the poster, and then you might engage attendees in discussion. In some cases, presenters put discussion questions right on the poster, or they might have a QR code that would take participants to a site or something where they would do something or learn something. So there are ways to make the poster interactive, more of an interactive experience. Obviously, you have your 3 minute elevator speech, as it were, for those who just want a flavor of it. But if folks who want to stick around longer, then you have more than they can do. So I hope that's helpful there. Then we get to the session activities. What are participants going to be doing? At the Lilly conference, we model effective teaching and learning practices, which include, student-centered kind of learning techniques. In other words, and this may be obvious, but this should not be a lecture. You should not be simply reading a paper, at least not for the entire time. Mini lecture types of things are certainly fine and appropriate. Some of the most commonly used techniques at Lilly are things you're probably familiar with, like think, pair, share, small group discussions, polling, either with technology like people using their phones or old school, hand raising or whatever it might be. Gallery walks, the jigsaw method, and so on. And these are the kinds of things that can help participants get and stay engaged in your session. And as I mentioned, there are ways to do that even in the poster session. In the chat, I'm going to put a handout, which is active learning techniques. If I could find it. Here they are. So you might find that useful just to check out some of the things that can be done in your session. Some of them may be too detailed for, let's say, a 45-minute session, but they might work in a pre-conference workshop. At any rate, hope that's helpful. We're almost done here. What else do we have? Okay. Oh, just the reference list. Again, please use APA 7 format. If you don't know that format, there are guides all over the internet. I will mention a word of caution. We are in the age of Gen AI, so please double check all your references and make sure they are legitimate, actually exist. You may be shocked to hear me say that, but we are seeing uh, submissions, and I'm hearing from other colleagues around the country at different institutions that fabricated sources are showing up quite a bit. And whether intentional or not, that's grounds for automatic rejection. So please don't let that happen to you. All right. So that completes our tour of the submission format, submission proposal form. Uh, and then just a couple other details, the verification statement that you'll be asked to sign off on. You'll see this, but I just included in here. So there is a template that's what I just showed you, which is something you can click on right from the submission form itself. Please use parenthetical citations of the relevant literature that is keyed to a reference list at the end. Doesn't have to be extensive. As a matter of fact, please don't think in terms of an extensive list. Just the most key references. 5 is plenty. It could be even less than that. Your session learning objectives. Oh, this is important. IRB approval if some human subjects were involved and you've collected and are sharing results of student data. Okay. So that is important to note. And the other thing, these things are basically things that are in the template anyway. So we've hoped we've designed it to be as foolproof as possible. And there are character limits to the section. So that's where a Word document, doing it in a Word document first will help because that can do the counting for you. So you can make sure that you're not over the limit. Okay. And then some of the common reasons that proposals are rejected without going out for review. Please make sure it's anonymized for peer review. So no reference to your name or your institution. If possible, use pseudonyms or XYZ or whatever it might be. Please make sure this is a scholarly conference, so please make sure to include relevant literature. Reviewers want to know, and attendees at the conference want to know that the work you are presenting is contextualized in what's already been done. We don't want to reinvent the wheel or be duplicating practices that are not effective. So it's important to make sure you have that scholarly context. List those learning objectives, describe how the session will be run, and it is important to know what are participants going to be doing in this session, obviously, because that's what they want to know in terms of why they should come. And watch those character limits. All right, so at this time, I thought we could spend some time giving you all a chance to talk to each other a bit about what you're thinking of doing by way of a proposal. So if you have a pretty concrete idea, that's wonderful. If you don't, that's okay too, because this will give you a chance to get some feedback and some ideas from other talented and knowledgeable colleagues. So I'll put those questions in the chat, and I'm going to turn off the sharing, and I'm going to set up some groups. Remember to plan your session to I did say things about peer review also. We want the basic point there was that we want to make sure that folks are encouraged. We want to accept proposals. We want to encourage you to get the development support you need to have a successful proposal. So if your proposal needs revisions, we will provide that feedback to you so that you can make the revisions. I had mentioned that first round decisions will be made by July 17th, and then if revisions are needed, those will be due back by July 30th, and we'll let everyone know of their decision and the format they have by August 30th, and the schedule will be posted. And I did mention that if you know you have a specific conflict with any of the presentation times that you might be assigned, and this mainly applies to the 45-minute folks who could be assigned a slot anywhere from Thursday afternoon through Friday morning, let us know at the time you submit, if you would please, so that we can manage to schedule you and not have a conflict. Don't please wait until until the schedule is released, because it may be more challenging to move you at that point. Okay. As far as the presentation guidelines, I did put a couple links in the chat, one for the guidelines themselves, where you can read all about the formats and the options you have and tips for presentations. And I also put the link to the template that you'll use for crafting your proposal, but you can also access both of those from the website. But there you have those. There will be prep sessions with technology in the mornings and right after lunch, so you'll have support for making sure your technology works before you present. You will have the opportunity to upload your handouts in advance if you would like to do so. Again, Lilly is a collegial conference and a community, so we really encourage you to participate in attend and participate in as much of the conference as you're able to. Conference registration will be coming soon, so all presenters will need to register. And we'll be announcing that on the Lilly listserv. And if you're not on the Lilly listserv already, just let me know and we'll make sure you get on there. There is an early bird discount, which is good until October 15th, which is $50 off the registration fee. So keep that in mind. Also wanted to mention that if you're not aware, we do have a peer-reviewed journal, the Journal on Excellence in College Teaching, that is published at Miami University. And it is open to faculty, administrators, staff at universities and 2- and 4-year colleges who have something important to share about effective teaching. And the same categories for submissions as we have for the Lilly conference. And as I said, many Lilly presenters got their start with a journal at the Lilly conference itself. I will put a couple links for the journal. I'll put the general link to the journal. We also just published a special issue of the journal on teaching with AI. And we did a webinar on that, so that I will share both of those links with you in the chat. There's the special issue, and it's available for free. There are 14 articles there, free downloads, and also we have the webinar link, which I shared with you, where we had some authors talking about their work. So we're very excited about this issue. Tell your friends and neighbors. We think it's going to be very well received and influential in the scholarship and teaching and learning world. We hope so. All right, so I think we have a few moments for questions. So who has some? I've been talking an awful lot. There were that few minutes of silence brought to you by Marceau, I guess. So I apologize for that, but thanks for the heads up. So yeah, we also lost a little time there, but any questions that I can answer right now that would be helpful to know for the group?
Hi, Greg. It's Cole here.
Yes, Cole.
Yeah, quick question on the submission category. If we are unsure about our submission category, should we write our uneasiness like in the application? Will we be put into a more proper submission category? Or should we just meet with you for 15 minutes to talk about
You
it?
could meet or share a draft of what you're doing, and I'd be happy. It's probably best to be proactive that way if you can. If you're not sure, say, here's what I'm doing, or here's a draft of here's the abstract. Here's kind of what I'm planning to do, and I can advise you on that. Sometimes we will reassign a category, and that's not a big deal, but it's helpful to the reviewers to know what category this is submitted in. So if you can do it in advance, that would be great, but it's not a stopper if, we'd say, well, this seems like this would be a better fit in a different category. But rather than say, I don't know, best to have a good sense of at least where you think it fits. So I'm happy to advise on that. So just, contact me, anyone who would like that feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Sometimes it can be a little slippery, I realize. Seems like it can fit in more than one. So which one does it really fit in? So that's a great question.
All right, thanks.
Anything else?
Hi, Professor. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please throw some light on the some issues like the proposals can be on the basis of some concept research paper as well, or the experiment one?
Basically, it needs to be about college teaching, okay?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
on
yeah.
college teaching, and it needs to fit into one of those four categories that we shared. The research,
Right, right.
innovation,
But
integration
sometime,
or application.
concept research can also be a part of, innovation, because some methodologies need to be discussed and forecasted, because
Correct.
the data is going to be, collected later on, so some
Yes,
concept discussions can be made in the form of proposal. I believe so.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sounds like an innovation piece, but yes, yes, indeed. Mhm.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
Other questions, comments? If not, then I can give you back. I think there was some discrepancy in terms of the time advertised. I think some said 10 to 10:50 and some said 10 to 11. So we can split the difference here. It's 10:56 and I can let you all go and enjoy your Fridays. But just keep in mind that uh, I'm here to support you. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to email, call, uh, and our request a Zoom meeting if that would be helpful. And I'm happy to work with you.
Greg, there is one question from Rose in the
Oh,
chat
yes,
from
Rose.
1056.
What do you got, Rose? Let's see here.
Is there an archive of old proposals online we can review?
You can see last year's, let me stop sharing here. You can see last year's proposals, I believe, on the Lilly site. Let me get rid of my slides here. It's a really good question, actually. So yeah, if everyone sees the website here, if you go over to about the Lilly conference, the second tab, everyone with me? And a little original Lilly conference recap. That's going to take you to last year's site. And I think it's still got, if you go to guidebook, I think it's still got, yeah, you can go to the schedule, or you can go to, yeah, that might be the easiest way to do it. You could go to the schedule and then you can look, you can scroll down and you should still be able to see, yeah. For example, there's a presentation PDF. Well, that's the presentation itself. That's okay. Let me see. We find one. I don't think I went down far enough. Here it is. Here's the proposal. Yeah, I just have to scroll down a little farther. There is the proposal. So there's an example. So you can see what they did. Topic issue, instructional context, methods, research evaluation, outcomes, structure, and references. So yes, there you go. Does that help? Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Greg, can you put the link for that site into the chat as well for
And
us?
kindly
Sure.
share the link if possible for the
Yep.
easy access. Thank you. Yeah.
You got it here. I'm just going to go directly to that guidebook link. Oops. Chat has a nasty habit of reverting to just one person instead of the whole group. There we go. There it is. That'll take you to where I just was. Just remember to scroll down. And you'll see what it's called proposal. All righty. Anything else I can help with? All right, it's 11 o'clock. Thank you all for your time. I look forward to hearing from you. I'm looking forward to receiving proposals and excited to hopefully see you on the program in November.
Thanks, Greg.
You're very welcome. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye now.